All right, another update. With it just being me doing the fuel system, doing all the work myself, I haven't filmed any of the actual work that I've been doing, just because I like getting things done. If you need to see specifics to how to do PTFE lines and stuff, I got a couple pointers I'll talk about, but you're gonna have to go to another video. This is just mainly the update on the car. So since the last video, I got a bunch of stuff done, a bunch of tedious stuff, mainly running lines and such. One of the big ones is getting the power wire for the fuel pump. So the breaker I got mounted right here. Wire goes under the car. I decided to go under the car so I didn't have to worry about kicking any wiring or having it screw up with the speakers with a bunch of power going through the driver's side down here, because the speaker wires go to the back that way. It was actually pretty easy to run that line. I just zip tied it to the actual fuel lines. I'll show you those here in a sec. I ended up getting the fuel pump hanger with the fuel pump in. I didn't really film that. I was kind of fighting with the lock ring here. It's a very tight fit, which is fine. One thing that I did note with the QFS hanger here, you can kind of see these threads are a little messed with, essentially, because the threads, it was kind of hard to get the actual fitting on there. I got it on there, so because this is only the sealing surface right here, little flare part, but it was kind of a pain in the butt. See if I can get a picture down here. Let's see. See how the fuel pump is in there, the hanger's in the correct spot. I was worried because the sock was sideways. Instead of going along with that rectangle, it was the opposite way, but the opening was big enough, it just slipped right in. I got the new fuel grommet because those things like to disintegrate. The old one came out okay, but this little surface here, this inner surface here, that was all stretched out, so definitely wanted a new one there. Cleaned up the tank a little bit, and then got some hanging line here. This is just some of the leftover fuel line from the old setup. Jump under the car now, get extra light. So, the thing that took a lot of time was basically just routing the lines and then taking them out, putting a new fitting on after cutting them to length. So we'll start up here at the front. As shown in the previous video, fuel filter right here. Got this line going up here, zip tied to the clutch cable here. Didn't want to zip tie it to the brake lines. And then just going down the subframe connectors here. Let's see here, try not to make you vomit with all this movement. But yeah, just use some self tappers to kind of put everything in place. I had these little rubberized metal clamps here. Pretty happy with the placement. Power wire, return, feed. Oh, sorry there. Power, return, feed. Just kind of going along the frame rail here. And then I took out the exhaust just for access. The muffler will be right here. And then up and over the axle tube. Oh, try not to get any shadows there. And then up and over the pumpkin here. And then back to the back. So, we got a bunch of stuff back here. We got the vapor line for just the gas tank venting. We got the line for the return, line for the feed. Super sweet. These fittings, like I was talking about, were they were part of a kit from Radium. I needed an extra 45 here. Radium is literally 2 miles down the street, so I was able to place an order and just go pick it up same day, within an hour or so. They gave me a free shirt too. Main power wire unbroken from that breaker up there all the way into the trunk. I'll get up there and show you the wiring here in a sec. The wiring back here I also finished, so I left it extra long. Sorry, I got the flashlight in my mouth. I left it extra long because it's easier to kind of tuck it away than it is if it's too short. The main power wire from the new relay, there we go, found the words, comes down this way. As I said, battery power in, fuel pump relay comes back out. out to a waterproof Deutsch connector, whatever they're called. And get some of this stuff untangled here. Oh, this one is just the fuel pump sending unit. So I have this terminating onto a factory style connection for the tank, because that's what that hanger has. And then the other part of it runs up here. This part of the metal is very thick, so I ground off a spot there and then put the ground to it. I've seen people do that before. They've had good success. The lead is a little extra long, but like I said, I'm going to tuck it up and out of the way. These connectors are super sweet. I can probably do it with one hand almost. Boom. Just off and then back on. So I just got the pigtail for the fuel pump. So if I need to drop the tank again, I can just take this off and then the sending unit, and I'll be all set. Get that connected again. Boom. And it's a waterproof one, all that nice stuff. Now getting out from underneath the car, I'll show you some of the wiring in the trunk. Just a simple relay setup, like I was mentioning in a previous video. Yep. So pink wire here was the old trigger wire, or the old power wire for that small in-tank pump. I tapped into it for the relay switch, and then the power wires coming out go down into the fuel tank area. Pretty easy, just pop that off, self-tapper right there. And then the ground for the relay, I just put to the sheet metal here, ground off some metal there as well. That's, I got pretty far the last couple days. Like I said, I didn't film it just because I was trying to get stuff done. Basically the only thing left is getting the grommet on the fuel tank. I left that off to make it easier to kind of see where the pump was in the tank. And then just put it all back in. Probably gonna have somebody help me try and put this back in. Test fitting it was easy with like nothing hooked up, but with the lines to contend with, it'll be easier to have two people so I don't end up pinching something or breaking one of the fittings off because the line's in a weird spot. So the next video, hopefully I'll have it running, but we'll see. I'm gonna get back to work when I can. Right now, kiddo's almost home, so I gotta go. Bye.